So, good evening to everyone and good day to our Nigerian friends and to all our participants around the globe. Welcome to our Zinzino product presentation. And for this meeting, we will be talking a lot about, or we will be learning a lot about our health and nutrition. And I'll just be your host for this meeting. And there's no other best person to listen to if it's in terms of our health and nutrition, but a doctor, right? And we are so blessed for this meeting because our speaker for today is a medical doctor by profession. He's a physician and more than 10 years in the medical practice and more than 5 years in the wellness industry, and also a public health specialist. So let's welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Godwin Okeje.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Jerome, for welcoming me to this presentation. Um, I'm so happy and I'm so delighted to be doing this presentation and this talk. In fact, to me, this is a dream come true and a much awaited presentation. You know, I like he said, I have more than 10 years experience in medical practice and in the wellness business. I have been in the wellness business for the past 5 years, and I have a passion to see people come down with good health instead of I have this passion for preventive medicine. So that is what has defined my staying around in the industry. So without wasting much of our time, I think I'm a co-host, right? I can share my screen. We can start
Yes.
off with the presentation. Um, I would want all of us to, if you have anybody who you think will benefit from this, and the person is not yet part of this presentation, please, I would like you to share the information to him, share the link with the person, so that the person can be part of us. Because what we are going to be talking about is something that has come to change humanity, to change the world, something that is now regarded as a global mega trend, global mega trend. And I've been working on this for the past few weeks now, trying to see how we can bring it to the table of my fellow Nigerians and Africans and even and all over the world. And I'm here to bring you an important topic, something that has been around for a while, but just that a little is known about it, and which is the test-based nutrition. The test-based nutrition. Now, why is this so important? It is important because I'm sure we understand that why the doctor tells you to check your blood pressure is because it is not possible for you to guess your blood pressure. It is not possible for you to guess your blood pressure. It is not possible for you to guess your sugar level. It is not possible for you to guess your health indices. The only way you can get to know about your state of health is by going to get a measurement, an objective measure that will give you an idea. And when you have an idea of your state of health, you are already 50% giving solution to it. And that is the basis of this test-based nutrition and not guest-based nutrition. Now, over the years, we've had a guest-based nutrition, people guessing that they are living healthy, people guessing that they are wealthy, but over time, people have realized that what they thought existed never existed. I'm trying to share my screen. So this is a novel breakthrough in the wellness industry, and that is the test-based nutrition, where we actually have to test our wellness, the state of our wellness, the constituent of our nutrition, if we are having enough nutrient from the food we are eating. And that has been brought to us by this wonderful company called Zinzino and the laboratory located in Norway. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Please, can you see my screen? Okay, the screen is coming up, I guess.
Yes.
You can see my screen now?
Yes, yes, Dr. Godwin.
Okay,
You can see
good.
yours.
So once again, I apologize for that technological and hitch. Okay. Okay. So I welcome us, those of us who are in Nigeria, those of us who are in the Philippines, those of us who are in Saudi Arabia, those of us who are in other parts of the world, Africa, you know, and the UK, the US, you know, the in Canada. I welcome us to this wonderful presentation. This presentation is going to herald subsequent so many breakthrough presentation that is geared to touch lives. And once again, I want to thank Mr. Thomas for giving us this forum to touch the world, to reach out to the world, to live our dream by sharing this wonderful information and having this wonderful meeting of minds conference where we will come and brainstorm and talk about things and see how we can, in these small circles, reach out to the rest of the world through the platform of Zinzino and through the test-based nutrition that the company has in store and to offer. Now, I'm sure we are all familiar with omega 3, and a lot of people are already using omega 3 supplements. Now the question is, how many persons who are using omega 3 supplements are actually benefiting from the omega 3 supplement they are using? A lot is already known about the benefits, the health benefits of omega 3 fatty acids. In fact, as a medical intern, we usually prescribe omega 3 fish oil to patients who have cardiac conditions, because it is known that omega 3 fish oil can increase the quantity of the quantity of the good cholesterol, which is the HDL cholesterol, increasing the quantity of the good cholesterol and reducing the quantity of the bad cholesterol. Now, that process, what it will do, it will reduce the risk with which the heart can go into have issues or have cardiovascular problem. So now you can see my screen very well now, so I can start. So that is why we are here to talk about this and talk about why this fatty acids is important. What are they? Why should we talk about them? Why should we concern ourselves about it? Why is there now a paradigm shift in the world from the to so much consumption of omega 6 now to omega 3? Now, omega 6 is not a bad fatty acids, so to speak. But the problem is that there's an imbalance in the ratio, and this ratio abounds. And the only way we can know it is for us to go and delve in to find more about how the ratio is in our red blood cells. I'll come to that later. Now, what happens is that we want to feel good and stay healthy. That is the goal. In fact, everybody you see is pointing to wants to be healthy. That's where the world is going. No matter how anybody you see, because nobody wants to go to the hospital. Nobody wants to fall sick. In fact, if you go to the hospital and see people who are sick, you will thank God for your health status. But at the same time, these health-related problems continue to be on the more people tries to avoid being sick, the more people try to be health conscious, the more health-related problems are on the increase. Now, that is a situation where we have to ask why. So many people are asking why. Why is it that the more people are health conscious, the more health-related problems are on the rise? It is because of the changes in the environment and the geographical and the dimensions of our health. And now, according to Hippocrates, which is the father of modern medicine, he said that let your food be your medicine and let your medicine be your food. In fact, the first time I came across this was about in 2015. And I was marveled that actually the role of physicians, the role of doctors is actually to prevent people from falling sick, prevent people from going to the hospital. The hospital should actually be the last resort where the preventive strategies have failed. Then the hospital will now be salvage the situation. So Hippocrates himself, who is the father of modern medicine, said, "Let your food be there." So it means that once you fall sick, once you have bodily ailment, the first question you ask yourself is, what food am I not eating well? You first of all go back to your diet. Is there food I'm not eating well? Am I indulging in unhealthy eating habits? That's the first question you ask yourself before you now go to the hospital and go and see your doctor. Now, but that is why but in those, before now we used to eat from Mother Nature, full of vitamins, minerals, phyto and micronutrients, beta glucans, fibers, healthy fats, and good balance of omega-6 and omega-3. That has always been the trend. That has always been the trend before now. But so many things are changing. Industrialization, development, technological advancement. All this has now made us today, we now eat man-made food. So many foods are produced because of convenience. A lot of people want to save time. The food industry is innovating, but most times the innovation from the food industry is detrimental to health. So what happens is that you have food that are available that have lower nutrition density. Food with lower nutrition density, higher sugar content. Almost all foods want to be sweetened so that it can taste nice, so that there will be more consumers. So the quality of sugar in the foods we eat is on the increase. And most of these sweeteners have 0 calories. 0 calories, in fact, even not zero nutrient, but higher calories. 0 nutrients, higher calories, low in fibers, less healthy fats, because there are fats that are healthy, there are some that are not healthy. But the ones that are healthy are less. In fact, some of the fats present in the food, especially some used for preservatives, are very, very harmful. So, and there is an imbalance between the omega-6 and the omega-3. Now, the omega-6 and omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are all essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids in the sense that that is what the body needs. The body cannot produce these fatty acids. These fatty acids must be taken from food. They must be eaten from food. Now, it means that if we don't get enough of them from food, the body suffers because the body cannot produce them. And these fatty acids are an essential component in the cell membrane of the human body. We'll talk about that as we proceed. Now, but what happens? The resultant of this is that you have malnutrition or undernutrition. Now, there are 2 types of undernutrition, the B type and the A type. Now, you can see the A type undernutrition, the marasmus and the kwashiorkor. Now, this one is common in developing countries, especially when there are during war-torn countries. You see things like this, and you see marasmus as kwashiorkor, the 2 different dimensions of that type A undernutrition, usually called the protein energy malnutrition. Then the type B malnutrition is the one that most people, now this type A is known, is well recognized, but the type B is poorly known, is poorly recognized, but it is there and it is contributing to the burden of chronic diseases we have today. In fact, it has contributed to the life expectancy of the world population today. You see, most of the foods are unbalanced. They lack adequate nutrients, omega-3, the essential foods, the essential ones that the body needs. They lack fiber, they lack antioxidants, they lack phytonutrients, and they lack vitamins. And they also have overnourishment of other calories that are not needed, higher calories, unhealthy fat, and omega-6. Now, there is that distortion because you have more of the foods containing omega-6 fatty acids, which are also good for the body, so to speak. But because that more quantity of omega-6 has distorted that balance, omega-6 and omega-3 balance that the body needs for optimum survival. Now, what happens in in type B malnutrition? You now have cellular damage because once the DNA is affected, the cell dies. The more you keep having cellular damage, DNA destruction, DNA damage, what happens is that the cells begin to die, the cells begin to malfunction, the cells begin to misbehave. A cell that is not supposed to divide will start dividing on coordination. A cell that is supposed to produce a particular chemical messenger will fail to produce a chemical messenger, thereby leading to a dysregulation in the glucose metabolism, leading to diabetes, or a dysregulation in the function of these blood vessels, which can contribute to hypertension or endothelial damage or one or two cardiovascular conditions. So the problem, the disease state starts from the cell. Once the cell is affected, what happens today is that a lot of people think that, oh, after eating, they are what is nutritive. That food that is nutritive to them, after they can just exercise and they are well, they are living healthy, people are working out, but at the end of the day, the more they work out and still dwell on those diets and not taking the essential fatty acids, bear in mind that doing exercise cannot manufacture what the body needs from food. Doing exercise without eating what the body needs you to eat from food, exercise cannot manufacture it. That's why you see a lot of people still eventually end up in the hospital. So that is a problem. So it stems from the food we eat. Now, taking a look at the history of omega-6 and omega-3 balance. Now, the DNA itself, when the DNA was formed, it was formed in such a way that the omega-6 and omega-3 ratio is 1:1 from the genetic makeup, from our genetic makeup. But science has been able to, based on research studies done, has been able to come up to the fact that 3:1 is recommended. Now, every 3 omega-6 to every 1 omega-3. Every 3 molecules of omega-6 is well balanced when you have a corresponding 1 molecule of omega-3. And of course, so many studies have also shown that, especially when you go to PubMed, that once the ratio is getting to 4:1, so many cells start to misbehave. That's why the recommended is don't let your ratio to get past 4:1. Now, a lot of people will say after all, I don't feel anything, I'm fine, I'm healthy. But these damages occur gradually. And over a period of time, the damages has been done. Things like diabetes starts to set in. Somebody starts becoming hypertensive. Somebody starts having 1 or 2 chronic conditions, arthritis, rheumatism, and the rest of them. So all this develop over time. And if you check today, in most part of the world, studies have shown and tests that have been carried out, you see that there's an increasing number of ratio as the year progresses. From in the 80s to the 90s to the 20s, 21st century, you see that the ratio is increasing because of the packaging of food, changes in the food conformation, the kind of food we eat, how easy it is for people to, this food, some of them come in well packaged food is such that it is convenient. So it is convenient you eat. So the food industry is actually contributing to the increasement in this ratio. Now, there are some studies that have shown that most people in the US, for example, have ratio of above 25.1, 25:1. Because of that, that's poor eating habits. So the bottom line is that we lack key nutrients, whether we like it or not. We lack key nutrients. And because of that, that imbalance exists. The imbalance exists in about 95% of people. we all know ourselves. We know what we eat, and we know, So when you see that, when you check, if everybody is to analyze each his or her diet, you see that you are not getting enough. It is not that it is not our fault that we are not getting enough. It is because of the current situation of the food industry we have now, because of the situation of things now. So that imbalance, what can it do? It can cause reduction in brain function. The hair quality can decrease, reduce heart function, skin loses elasticity, organ function is reduced, and you have joint and muscle pain. Now, because the omega-6 and the omega-3 are important constituents of the cell membrane. I'm sure most of us, most of my colleagues who are here will be familiar with the lipid bilayer. The cell membrane has what they call a lipid bilayer. And this lipid bilayer, you have the you have the phospholipids. Now, the other ends of the phospholipids make contact with the other end of the phospholipid in the lipid bilayer. So now, the what makes the cell membrane to be fluidy or hard is whether is it omega-6 or omega-3 that is in that is constituting that that lipid that is in between that lipid bilayer. Now, if you have more, because this chemical structure of omega-3 is that it has a kinky conformation, so it allows for flexibility. While the omega-6 lacks the kinkiness, so it can encourage hardening of the cell membrane. And once you have that, a lot of things will go wrong. So you now have a reduced function in a cell that has an imbalance. You have the cell membrane is supposed to be flexible and fluid, but it becomes so hard, it becomes so rigid. And once it becomes rigid, nutrients cannot enter the cell easily. And the waste products produced by the cell cannot leave easily. Now, when you have this problem with movement, the cell dies. The cell cannot function properly. There are substances that the cell needs, and these substances needs to go into the cell via the cell membrane. The cell membrane does checks and balance of what enters and what leaves. Now, if you have a security man in the house, if you have a security and the security securing your zone performs poor function in terms of assessing who comes in and who goes out, there will be security breach. And once there's security breach, the host is at risk of being harmed or being attacked. The same thing that happens. Now, the cell can be harmed if the cell membrane find it difficult to check what comes in and what goes out. Now, so what comes in is difficult to enter. The waste products, because the cell does metabolic process go on, the waste matter find it difficult to leave, and this can accumulate within the cell and can lead to cell death. So all this, and the cell is a structural and a functional unit of life. If the cell is affected, the tissues will suffer. If the tissues are affected, the organs will suffer. If the organs are affected, the system responsible for that function will suffer. And all the systems work together. And once a system is malfunctioning, it affects other systems. It could be from the brain, it could be the hair quality, because the hair quality is a function of the system. It could be the heart function, it could be the elasticity of the skin, and some other organs and joints and musculoskeletal system. So to achieve healthy cell membrane, we need that balance. 3:1 balance between omega-6 and omega-3. Now, this is just how a normal cell should function. Easy flow of materials in and out of the cell. Now, let me just take us a little bit about some documented information. You see the importance of omega-3 and why these are very essential. For example, according to the Harvard School of Public Health, they say omega-3 fatty acids are integral parts of the cell membrane throughout the body and affect the function of the cell receptors in these membranes, because the cell membranes have receptors. They provide the starting point for making hormones that regulate blood clotting, contraction, relaxation of the arterial walls, and inflammation. So once you have a dysfunction, a problem with these areas I have just listed, the person is becoming so at risk of some non-communicable diseases. They also bind to receptors in the cells that regulate genetic function. So the gene expression of so many important chemical messengers can also be affected. Likely due to these effects, omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to help prevent heart disease and stroke, may help control autoimmune diseases like lupus, eczema, and rheumatoid arthritis, and may play a protective role in cancer and other conditions. The question now is that, are we taking enough quantity of omega-3 in our diet? Because the body cannot produce this, we must take it from food. The one you are taking, what is the quantity that you are taking? Now, this is a study from PubMed, and I would just want to highlight on it a little bit. Say these fatty acids, let me go back. These types of omega-3 fatty acids are capable of partly inhibiting many aspects of inflammation, including leukocyte chemotaxis, adhesion molecules, and leukocyte endothelial adhesive interactions. Production of eicosanoids like prostaglandins and leukotriene from the omega-3 fatty acids, arachidonic acids, and the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So you see, why the omega-6 fatty acids, they contribute in the production of pro-inflammation. Inflammation is a process that is responsible for the pathogenesis of almost all disease conditions in the body. Now, if we are always having pro-inflammatory substances, we are bound to fall sick all the time. Now, what the omega-3 does is it counteracts the effect of the omega-6, especially when the omega-6 is there, because when there is adequate balance, it counteracts the effect of the omega-6. So those inflammatory processes will no longer be there. In fact, a study recently showed that what the omega-3 does is that it will produce substances that are known to be inflammatory, but they cannot act as inflammatory. However, they will now be anti-inflammatory because they cannot perform. So see, that is how it checks the inflammation that occurs in the system. So a lot of studies on this are very rich. Even in the management of alcoholic liver disease, the use of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids is a promise in the management of alcoholic liver disease because of its effect. Now, this is a study that was done on fish oil, and say fish oil reduces the risk of atriovenous graft events and cardiovascular events, and alleviates depression in so many patients, and improves second. So a lot of studies are on it, and I don't want to dwell so much on it. Let me not, because let us not lose focus. But the studies are rich, and the medical community is so excited about the health benefits of omega-3 fatty acids. Now, the question now is, we ask ourselves now, before I come to this, let me take a look at this one, the importance of omega-6/omega-3 fatty acid ratio in cardiovascular disease and other chronic diseases. Excessive amounts of omega-6 and a very high omega-6/omega-3 ratio is found in today's Western diet and promotes the pathogenesis of many diseases. You see, it's talking about the ratio, how an abnormal ratio promotes the pathogenesis of so many diseases, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. Whereas increased levels of omega-3 exert suppressive effects, that means lower omega-6/omega-3 ratio. Now, in the secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease, a ratio of 4:1 was associated with a 70% decrease in total mortality. Now, a lower ratio of omega-6/3 fatty acids is more desirable in reducing the risk of many of the chronic diseases of high prevalence in Western society as well as in the developing world. These and other studies have underscored the importance of reducing our omega-6 and omega-3 ratio and how it impacts totally to our health. Now the question is, which zone do you belong? How can you know if your omega-6 or omega-3 ratio, omega-6 omega-3 ratio is normal? You cannot, I'm sure you'll be asking yourself questions. What could be my own ratio? What could be my own ratio? Knowing your ratio is knowing whether you are at risk of most of these disease conditions stated in these scientific articles. Now, this is where we want to be. 3:1 ratio is where we want to be. But where most of the people, most of us are, is actually 15:1 and 25:1. Now, are you in the danger zone? Imbalance of omega-6 and omega-3, low levels of omega-3, inadequate polyphenols in our diet, and low levels of vitamin D3. Because when we take low levels of polyphenols, which are powerful antioxidants, which are well known as powerful antioxidants, they also affect, well, because so many people are consuming fish oil, so many people are eating fish, so many people are eating, omega-3 fatty acids. What quantity of antioxidants are they taking in this? Because the omega-3 fatty acids are so much unstable that they are easily oxidized. They are easily destroyed by free radicals in the system. In fact, before they even get to the final destination, which is a cell, and be incorporated in the cell membrane, they may have been destroyed by so many reactions in the body. Now, the quantity of polyphenols you take in your diet, which are the antioxidant level you have in your system, will preserve your omega-3 so they can easily be delivered to your cell membrane and be well incorporated. So that is also another issue that also can affect the balance of omega-6 and omega-3. So today, most of us will be within 15:1, which is not good. But our children are even worse off, because I know that the food I ate as a child is better than what the children of today are eating. The food I ate as a child is better than what the children of today are eating. So I'm sure we know, we are familiar with what I'm saying. And all these are, so how would you know your ratio? The only way you know your ratio, just like the way if you want to check your blood pressure, the only way you check your blood pressure is by going to the hospital or conducting a blood pressure check. The only way you know your sugar level, your glucose level, is by going to do a glucose test. How would you know your ratio? How would you know whether you are at risk of most of these cardiovascular conditions, inflammations, cancer? Cancer is also one of them. How will you know if you are at risk? It's by going to do the balance test. The balance test is a recent thing, it's a recent test that was developed just recently, about 2000. It has been around, but it was made popular around 2018. Thereabouts. I was speaking with a friend of mine who is a consultant in chemical pathologists, those who are authority in this chemical test. He actually attests to the fact that this test was recently developed. And this is the only way you can check your omega-6, omega-3 ratio. So many labs all over the world are doing it. So many labs. It's being done all over the world. So currently, over 500,000 balance tests have been done. Currently, over 500,000 balance tests have been done. And what did this balance test show? We'll look at it later. But before then, let's look at the lab, the Vitas Analytical Laboratory. Now, what happens is that the company Zinzino decided to partner with this lab, Vitas Analytical Services. It's an independent lab that has official partners. So many of these universities, like the Harvard University, the University of Cambridge, King's College London, they send their samples to this lab, to the Vitas Analytical Services, for them to analyze their dry blood tests. In fact, Vitas has been a collaborative partner to the WHO as well as the Olympia Toppen Research Facility in Norway. Is GMP certified chemical analysis contract lab recognized as one of the pioneers in the modern use of dry blood tests. So it's a company, it's a laboratory service with high repute, an independent lab, and they use what they call the double blind method. The lab does not know whose sample is there. Zinzino does not know your sample, so it's free from bias. I'm sure those of my colleagues who are into clinical research will understand what I'm saying. It is totally free from research. That will tell you the authenticity of the results gotten from the lab, and that is why this study that have shown 550,000 people doing this test have actually been very, very remarkable and renowned and upheld by so many scientists all over the world. So the Vitas lab, and how is it done? You after taking your sample, you send it to them through mail, and what happens is that you are given a unique number. You go online, then you impute your unique number, and that unique number is what they use to monitor your test results. If your ratio is if you are imbalanced or you are balanced. Now, what does it, apart from checking your omega-6 to omega-3 balance, what this test can also do is that it will check other indices such as the omega-3 index, the mental strength index, and the membrane fluidity index, and the arachidonic acid index. So you see, a lot of people who have actually done the test have discovered that they fall within the range of 10 to 25. A lot of people who ordinarily have even been on omega-3 supplements in the past, it has been shown that their test results have been very high. So when this happens, you can monitor it, you can track your progress, and of course, while you are doing it, if you discover that your ratio is very high and you are imbalanced, definitely it is like making a diagnosis for yourself. It's like telling you that what you have been taking over the years, especially in the past 120 days, is not adequate, and it is important for you to take steps to reduce what the quantity of omega-6 you are taking and increase the intake of omega-3. So the test results show a world of imbalance. The world of, like I said, only 5%, about in average, 5% of people have done the test for the first time and recorded a balance 3:1 and below. The remaining 95%, about 95% and above of the world are imbalanced. It means that the world is sick. That's what it means, that the world is sick. And we are headed to, that's why when you have a world that is full of that is unbalanced, what happens is that any little pandemic, people who are at risk, especially people who have been having imbalance unknown to them, will easily fall prey. You see, so you see people's response to newer pandemics, to newer disease outbreak, also calls to question. That is why it was even known and acknowledged during the COVID-19 pandemic that the overall herd immunity has reduced. Because of that reduction in herd immunity, that's why you see, with the slightest provocation, the mortality increases because it is a world that is out of balance. So you see it in various aspects. This is not even, you can imagine how it will be in Africa when we now start doing it in Africa. This is just the countries, the continents where it has been done. Now, while we are progressing to come into Africa and get people to do this test and know their ratio, you will see different and surprising ratios. And of course, that will also form the database that will be used to, So we have only 5% have a ratio of 3:1 in Europe. Now, 20% already take omega supplement. Those people who take omega supplement, I know then when I used to consume omega supplement, but the question now is that, am I consuming the right quantity? Because most omega supplements that you have or that are in the market or that people peddle don't contain the required amount of omega-3 that the body needs. The body needs about 3,000 to 5,000 grams, a milligram of omega-3 on daily basis, depending on body weight, depending on your body weight. But most times you see people, even these are people who are even consuming omega supplement. I'm not talking about people who don't even consume at all. So they consume less, and 20% of them still are imbalanced. Then those who don't even consume at all, 75% of them having ratio of 15:1. And you remember that clinical data has shown that once your ratio is above 4:1, your cells will start to misbehave. Your cells can misbehave without you knowing, but these things can cumulatively increase. And even when you are getting to at the age of 50, you will be looking or falling ill like somebody who is 90 years old. There are people who, at the age of 80, you see them living healthier, being so strong like somebody like 60 years old. It is a function of what we have been eating from childhood. It's also a function of the imbalance that has been there unknown to us from childhood. So you see, it's a world that is out of balance, and this has to be fixed. And that is why we have this movement. We are having this online webinar to see how we can contribute to what is already ongoing in fixing this problem. And how can we fix this problem is by embracing an institution that have a powerful scientific advisory board. You see, an institution that have an advisory board with renowned people who have shown themselves to distinguish themselves in their areas. Like Dr. Paul Clayton, who is a pioneer in the study of the pharmacological effects of food and botanical ingredients. Now, Dr. Paul Clayton wrote a book, and he called that book, "Let Your Food Be Your Pharmaconutrients." You see, he's a doctor that has done so many researches on how the food we eat contributes to our health. So he has a PhD in neuropharmacology from the University of Edinburgh. So there's a lot of videos, YouTube videos of Dr. Paul Clayton you see online. Now you have Mr. Ada. He's a founder and industry leader in bioactive foods, and he's also a number of leadership positions. So you see, Dr. Angela is also there, who is also a professor of biochemistry at the University of Milan, an expert in the biochemistry of lipids, and Dr. Abraham, who has over more than 40 years experience in the health and nutrition. All this and so many other professionals from the advisory council board of these patented products, this patented balance test, recommending it for people to do to get to know about their ratio. So that is why you see when you go on the net, you see a lot of presentations published, a lot of articles published talking about this same thing. Now, when you have done your tests, the test is usually done on the membrane of the red blood cells, and the red blood cells, the life cycle is about 120 days. So what happens to the red blood cells? After 120 days, the body produces new red blood cells. So at that point, when the red blood cells are produced, is a function of the health status of the human being. The quantity, your ratio, the ratio of your omega-6 and omega-3 is what the body incorporates in the cell membrane of the red blood cells produced. So if you are unbalanced, it will show in the red blood cells membrane. The red blood cell is just a representative of, because the same thing that happens in the membrane of the red blood cells is what also happens in other parts, in other cells in the body. But because we can easily judge the life cycle of the red blood cell, that's why it is used. So it's after 120 days, you are supposed to come back and check your ratio. Now, what will you be doing within 120 days? Of course, you go to work trying to correct what is already wrong. You are correcting your ratio. If your ratio is 15:1, if your ratio is 17:1, what are you going to be doing for that 120 days that red blood cells will be living? Is to try to see how you can increase your intake of omega-3 potent, not just omega-3, but potent omega-3 intake that will be taken straight and be incorporated into the cell membrane of your cells. So within 120 days, we are advised to increase your intake of omega-3 and use the potent omega-3 supplement that the company has also produced, which I'll talk about later to proceed. So within that 120 days, that is the goal, because we can bring back ourselves to balance within 120 days. In fact, even if it is not completely to balance, but significantly, it will move from 50. A lot of people's test results have also shown a significant reduction from 25:1 to 7:1, from 25:1 to 4:1 to 2:1 to even 1.7:1 within that 120 days. Why? That is the only way you can test your nutrition. That is the only way you can test whether the omega-3 or the omega-3 supplement that you are taking is actually potent. Because something you cannot test, you cannot vouch for. Something you cannot test, you cannot even speak about. It is only something that you can test that you can actually quantify and appreciate. So because you can test it, so you now know that the omega-3 supplement, whether it's efficacious or not efficacious, whether the omega-3 supplement is actually pure or not pure, whether the omega-3 supplement is easily degradable or not degradable, depending on the level of antioxidants in the system. So after 120 days, this is the Zinzino balanced oil, because it is not called, this is not an omega, this is not called omega-3 fish oil. It is a balanced oil because it contains all oils that are needed to balance that ratio. Not just omega-3. Omega-3 is not the main ingredient in what you are seeing. The main ingredients in this balanced oil you are seeing is the polyphenols. The polyphenols is the main balance oil from olive extract. Now, these polyphenols are powerful antioxidants that stabilizes the omega-3. Because, like I said before, omega-3 is very, very volatile. It is highly degradable. It can easily be destroyed by free radicals. In fact, it's very unstable. So most times when we take the normal omega-3 fish, or we take it from wherever source we're taking it from, the question is, does it actually get to the cell membrane? Because as it goes through the stomach, it goes to the blood first. How bioavailable it is. As it enters the bloodstream, it makes contact with other constituents of the blood. You will have other chemicals in the blood, free radicals, that try to oxidize the system. So what does it do? These chemicals, if you don't have adequate antioxidants in the system, your omega-3 supplement cannot live to get to the cell membrane, because at the end, the blood takes the nutrients around the cells and feeds the cells. So if it is carrying omega-3 or the omega-3 fatty acids, for it to get to the cell membrane, it needs polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that will convey it and prevent it from its degradation, from its oxidation, from its destruction by free radicals. So that is actually what keeps it potent and takes it to this desired destination. That is why it is called a balanced oil. It is balanced. And not just that, it also contains vitamin D3. Also contains vitamin E, which are also other powerful antioxidants that also help to prevent the degradation of omega-3 fatty acids. So it is usually dosed by weight. I usually don't subscribe to taking supplements and you don't dose it. Most of the problems we have as clinicians is telling people to take supplements or take stuff that are not well dosed. So, but in this case, This balanced oil, based on the studies that have been done, are well dosed based on the daily requirements of omega-3 fatty acids. So they are dosed based by weight, between 8 meals to 12 meals per day, as the case may be, depending on your weight. And no oxidation because of the presence of polyphenols, and it is original. Now, while you are waiting, you have done your tests, and you are now waiting for 120 days to redo your test. You have to correct the system. And because a lot of studies have supported the intake, the supplementation of omega-3 fatty acids in our diet, because our body cannot produce omega-3 fatty acids. That is why the best thing now is to correct an imbalance. And how do you correct an imbalance? Is to increase the part of the ratio that is so low, which is the omega-3 fatty acids, which is the omega-3 component. We are not saying, I am not saying that we should stop, that omega-6 fatty acids are not good. They have their health properties too, because they are still polyunsaturated fatty acids. But the balance needs to be corrected now, because you need to have the adequate balance of omega-3 to be with the omega-6 and counteract the excessive effect of the omega-6 fatty acid. And that is why that 120 days, we have to furnish our system with a potent omega-3 supplement in the Zinzino balanced oil. And now I would like to show you something. Now, this is what I usually look out for when I come across any supplement. This is what I usually look out for. Good manufacturing practice, GMP seal, GMP certified. What does it mean for a supplement to have GMP? For a supplement to have GMP means that the product of manufacture has undergone its normal processes. All standard, all the best practices, procedures, recommended procedures have been followed to prevent contamination, to prevent reduction in the desired quantity. Everything that should be in place. So that's why you have GMPC. But most times you have this in majority of the supplements you have out there. Doesn't mean that those supplements don't have GMPC. But the thing is that we have now used the balance test to go. We have gone extra mile. Zinzino has gone extra mile to use the balance test to actually confirm that these seals you see, that the balanced oil actually deserve to have them. That is the only way, because you are not testing, you are testing it. Because the only way you believe in something is to test it. If you cannot test it, you are guessing. Anything you cannot test, you are guessing. So if you are eating and you're not testing to know if you are taking adequate nutrition, you are guessing. And you cannot be so sure when you are guessing. And what improves your confidence is when you are not guessing, but you are getting your results from tests that you have done. That is the essence of the test-based nutrition. So you on your own, you don't need anybody to come and share testimonials, because I don't believe in so much testimonials, because most times testimonials can be fabricated. But now when you are seeing a marked difference from your ratio, your ratio was 15:1, and you took the balanced oil, and what you're now getting is 4:1 after 120 days. You don't need anybody to tell you that what you took was a potent omega-3 supplement, which comes in the balanced oil formation, which has all the requirements that we need to make the omega-3 ratio to be reduced. So you have the halal rate and the rest of them. And that is why scientific studies have proven, a study done in 2010 have shown that the balanced oil have a shelf life that is higher than most of the other balanced oils in the market. Because not just because remember, all of them all contain omega-3 fatty acid. But why is the balanced oil different? Because it contains polyphenols that prevent degradation of the omega-3 fatty acids. It prevents degradation of omega-3 fatty acids while it conveys it to the cell membrane of our body cells. Tocopherols, vitamin E, and the rest of them. So up to 35 hours, the shelf life increases. So it stays. and gets to the system. So 95% of those taking the balanced products have a ratio of near 3:1 after 120 days. Because of these ingredients in the balanced oil. So that is the only way. And of course, if you are here and you are so skeptical about this, what I advise you to do is to get your balance tests and check yourself, do your balance test, and use the balance oil and check it again after 120 days. You yourself, you will be convinced. You don't need further conviction from anybody. So you see, so why do we need the balance oil? Why are we talking about this? Because all our lives, even from childhood until when we leave this earth, we have the task to preserve our body. We have the task to take care of our body. Just the same way we take care of our properties, our car, our investments, things that are dear to us. The same way, as long as we are living today, we have the task to take care of our body. Even you have a 6-month-old daughter, it is your responsibility that during that first 6 months, you breastfeed that child very well, because DHA, which is the active ingredients, the active ingredients or derivative of omega-3 fatty acids, is what is in the breast milk. So the child's brain immune system is also influenced. Now, if you are pregnant and you are solely responsible in the health status of that child, because the quantity of the omega-3 supplement you use during your pregnancy is what will show in the health outcome of that child, because the cell is the structural and functional unit of life, and this cell membrane that covers the cell is very important, and the omega-3 in it does a wonderful role in making the cell membrane to function very well. So what is the overall health of your child is a function of what you eat while you are pregnant. Even as you give birth to the child, how you breastfeed the child, even as the child begins to grow as an adult, the brain continues to develop, the immune system continues to mature, the reproductive system continues to mature, the skin, the hair, the nails, all these are functions of the cell. These organs cannot develop if there is no adequate cell division. And what is dividing the cell? What is actually trying to separate this cell compartment from this cell compartment is the cell membrane. Now, when you begin to age, what happens to you from 50 years and above is a function of how your life has been when you were 6 months old. That is why at every stage in life, that ratio needs to be maintained. Now, it is, even if you are just coming to know about, we are just coming to know about this ratio now, and we test ourselves and we see that our ratio, we are imbalanced. It is now time for us to start correcting our ratio, because studies have shown that the ratio of a ratio from 15 to 7:1 contributed to 70% reduction in cardiovascular mortality. It's a documented fact in one of the scientific articles published in PubMed. Just 7:1 reduction from 15 to 7:1 contributed to 70% reduction in cardiovascular mortality. So if you have it and you over 120 days and you have reduced your ratio from 15, for example, to 4, you have done yourself a whole lot of good. You have prevented a lot of things that could have happened, God knows, in the future. So that is why it is a lifetime commitment. This is a lifetime commitment. Balancing our omega-6 and omega-3 ratio is a lifetime commitment. It improves life, because how you enjoy your old age is a function of what you do today. Now, these are approved claims from the European Food and Safety Association. This approved claim is not coming from an individual. These approved health claims is not coming from Zinzino or coming from Vita's laboratory. No, it's not even coming from Dr. Paul Clayton. It is also not coming from Dr. Godwin. These health claims are coming from a government, a regulatory body. Based on all the research is done on omega-6, omega-3 fatty acids, the health claims of adequate intake of omega-3 in our diet. 18 of them has been established. But you see, a first three, they call them the big three. They stand out. Normal brain function, which is very, very important. There is hardly anything we do today that our brain is not involved from while we are in our mother's womb to date. The brain functioning, the brain development and function is very, very important and essential to our overall health. Now, normal heart function. The heart stops to pump today, the body, the system will shut down. The reason why people have cardiac arrest is because the heart stops to pump blood. And once that happens, the brain suffocates. The brain is the first part of the organ to respond. It suffocates. It has been so designed in such a way that a stroke of blood from the heart goes to the brain first before you are even thinking of other parts of the body, because of how important the brain takes that blood, the oxygen, the nutrients from the blood that's coming to it. So the heart function is very, very key. Even the heart itself will need its own supply because it is the one doing the work. The question is that once you have an imbalance or reduction in adequate intake of omega-3 fatty acids, your heart function begins to deteriorate. Normal immune function, our immunity response. Once you have dysregulation in the immune system because of production of some chemicals based on the imbalance and the rest of them, because the immune system can either underfunction or overfunction. If it is underfunctioning, the person is immunosuppressed. That means you are prone to different kinds of infections, different kinds of diseases, prone to cancer and the rest of them. If the immune system is overfunctioning, it means you are talking about autoimmune diseases. It means you are talking about hypersensitivity reaction. It means you are talking about so many atopic and the rest of them. Autoimmune diseases, for example, your immune system is fighting your body. Ordinarily, the immune system is supposed to fight foreign agents, but it is now fighting our body. So you see, this top three stands out because the normal function of the brain and the heart and the immune system contributes a whole lot that covers these other areas, like the normal vision. Because the omega-3 fatty acid is an important ingredient in the retina. So if you are not taking adequate omega-3 while you are pregnant, it will affect the normal development of the retina of that child. The child may come and start having refractory problems because the retina and the brain are so much connected. Anatomically speaking, they are so much connected. So anything that affects the brain can easily tilt to the eye. Anything that affects the eye can easily tilt. So you see, this connection is there because the DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, which is an active ingredient from omega-3 fatty acid, which the body cannot produce, you must take from food, is an important ingredient in the white matter of the brain. That's why a lot of studies have shown that postpartum depression, that means after a woman finishes giving birth, the woman goes into depression, the woman goes into some mild psychiatric issues because of a depletion of the docosahexaenoic acid, because the baby has taken enough of it for his or her own brain development. That is why it is important for the pregnant woman to always supplement more doses of omega-3 fatty acid, not just when she's not pregnant, but when she's pregnant. Normal teeth formation, brain development, bone structure, of course, fight oxidative stress, even the normal blood pressure, because once the cell membrane lacks its fluidity, there's a problem with producing those normal hormones that regulate our blood pressure. The body is designed in such a way that it regulates our blood pressure. There are so many things that happen that the body swings into action to normalize the blood pressure. Now, if the body loses that control by deficiency of those messengers that go to do the work, what happens? Any slightest provocation, the blood pressure shoots up and it can remain there. So it's an approved health claim. Normal blood pressure ensures normal cell division, because if the cell is not dividing well, the body is prone to having cancerous growths. That's where cancer comes in. Normal blood triglycerides, where heart attack comes in. Because if the triglycerides are abnormal, the heart can suffer. Heart attack, myocardial infarction, ischemic heart disease, as they call it. So as you see, all of them protest against oxidative stress, normal absorption. All these are approved health claims. And this is not, nobody is fabricating anything here. This is from the European Food and Safety Association. So this is what happens to you when you are using. And you see, a lot of athletes have also benefited in the use. Most of these athletes you see in this picture are actually on the balanced oil, and it has made them to distinguish themselves in their sports. They have confessed how it has enhanced their fitness because one of the first things some persons, even though I'm not really a fan of hearing testimonials, I'm not a fan of it. I believe in quantitative measurements. But however, most times I ask myself, when I hear some compelling testimonials and I know that this testimonial may not be far from the truth, I'm so eager to ask myself, why am I not a non-doctor? Because being a doctor will give you so much restriction to say so many things, even when you know they are true. But because of the profession, so you are very careful what you say, so you not mislead the public. So, but it doesn't take away the fact that a lot of people who have used the balanced oil today have confessed, have reported increase in energy level, increase in wellness, in sense of well-being in them. So you see, so reaching a balance between our omega-6 and omega-3 is the first step to feel good. That's the first step to feel good. Stay fit, be healthy, and prevent ourselves from chronic diseases. Now let me just bring this to us. Diseases like let me calm down now. I want some people to understand what I've been saying. Diseases like hypertension, diseases like diabetes, diseases like cancer, diseases like autoimmune diseases like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and so many of them. These are chronic disease conditions that we are all at risk to. Once you are approaching 35 and above, 35 now, the number has changed. It is no longer 35 now. It is now from 30 and above. Because we have seen people, I have seen cases of myocardial infarction at the age of 20s, 25, 26, 30s. Now, once you are getting to that age of 30, you're not becoming so conscious of your health. At least you'll be checking yourself, blood pressure, sugar level, routine check. The routine check is because you want to catch it at the beginning stage, because that is also a stage in prevention. Early diagnosis. That early diagnosis will help you to tackle it, because most conditions, once you tackle them early, you will defeat them almost 100%. So that is the essence of that. So why are people recommended to check themselves at that? Because of the possibility. We know that our ratio, we belong to a world that is out of balance. But when you know your balance, you have this confidence based on the information that is available in the public domain, literature-wise, that you are living a healthy life. And it shows. Your hair texture changes, your wellness, you feel a sense of wellness. So many conditions that can affect some other persons, when it comes to you, it will be a different case. You see, people react differently when they are being exposed to determinants of diseases. They react differently based on the function, the level of the immune system we all possess, based on what we eat. You see, the food we eat is responsible for all this. And the food contributes to the level of the ratio of our omega-6 and omega-3. Now, there are other Zinzino has been able to formulate other kinds of products evidence-based, I call them evidence-based products. For the first time, I'm seeing a product that I, as a medical doctor, I can confidently speak up. Because of course we know what exists out there, you know, the cure, the cure, or the what was it called? The cure all products that exist out there, which we know are not evidence-based. Most of them are overbloated. But the products of Zinzino, these products, where the balanced oil series you see, are even an understatement. So based on that, in addition to improving the formulation, the formulation of the omega-6 and omega-3, omega-6 and omega-3 balance, the products have followed that same category. Now, this is skin serum. Now, imagine when you are taking a balanced oil to correct the omega-6, to correct your ratio, balance your ratio, to balance your system from within, and you now have to apply a formulation that is identical with what you are ingesting or what you are taking on the skin. Remember that the skin is the largest organ in the body. The skin is the largest organ in the body. It contains cells, millions of cells. And the way the cells of the skin appear is a function of the total well-being, the health status. Because if the cells that make up the skin are not beautiful, if they are not healthy, it will show. Elasticity, problem with elasticity, problem with smoothness. People start getting wrinkles even before their time. They start getting wrinkles before their time because of the health status of the skin. So you see that this skin serum is a 24-hour youth formula that has been designed to hydrate and smoothen the skin, improve the skin elasticity and strength, and reduces fine lines and wrinkles by making the individual cell that make up the skin to be healthy by going to the cell membrane and also normalizing, trying to modulate the omega-6 and omega-3 ratio. Now, when you are ingesting the balanced oil, it goes and does its underground work. Now, the increased intake of omega-3 fatty acids will help the cell membranes of all the cells to maintain its fluidity or to improve its fluidity so that substances can enter inside and go out. So when you're now using the skin serum, what happens is that the skin serum with the powerful ingredient it contains can easily diffuse through the cell membrane of your skin and nourish the skin, the cells that make up the skin. So you have a lot of other formulations that Zinzino has made for us to use within that 120 days while we are expecting our test results to be out. And you know, this is the company that has launched, and then there are so many products that are available in other markets but not available in the global market. I'm sure one of my partners here can talk more on that. But the thing is that the products you see, they are full package and they help us and help our system. Now the question is, would you like to take the test? Yes, you have to, because coming to realize that there is a concept of omega-6 and omega-3 ratio, definitely you would want to take the test. To first of all find out your own ratio. Then finding out your ratio will now be so these are different for different this thing for those who vote in the global market and and this is the Zinzino.test.com. Of course, after doing your test, you go and impute your ID and start tracking your test results. You know. So let me just play this video for us to. I'll use these videos to conclude my presentation for today.
Our nature is a powerful designer. When nutrients are in the right balance, we get a superfood. Zinzino provide cutting-edge, best-in-class products from the new science of pharmaconutrition, which uses active nutrients from food to fight the imbalances in our modern lifestyle. Eating fish is healthy. It is a well-known truth that higher levels of omega-3 support a healthy heart, an optimal brain function, and your immune system. How much do you need?
To know this, you have to measure the balance of omega-6 and omega-3, which you can do with the Zinzino test. We have tested several 100,000 people. Our statistics show that 95 out of 100 have too much omega-6 and too little omega-3.
Our DNA was programmed with a 1-to-1 balance. Today, the average is 15-to-1. According to the World Health Organization, a healthy balance for the heart should be less than 5-to-1, while science recommends 3-to-1. Balance oil is many times more effective than normal omega-3 supplements. These ingredients help support in most foods that are rich in omega-3, like seafood, seeds, and nuts. We find them also to be rich in polyphenols. Polyphenols are micronutrients known for their power to reduce oxidation in your cells and cell membranes. Sadly, the omega-3 industry ignored this important truth. They left out the polyphenols. Zinzino respects and understands nature. We combine the highest quality omega-3 with the most potent source of polyphenols from a pre-harvested olive oil. When this works together, it creates a powerful synergy. For the final touch, we added the sunshine vitamin, the key for good immune health, vitamin D3. Add life to your years. There is no other product like Balance Oil. Test yourself and choose one of our Balance products. Balance Oil with great flavors, or Aqua X that mixes with water into a lemon drink.
So first of all, we have to test ourselves, because you have to be sure that you actually need the product. So test yourself. When you test yourself, if your ratio is 3:1, they refund your money back to you. The money you paid in getting your test kit, they refunded back to you 100%. That means you don't need it, so no need. But if you need it, then definitely the products that came with the order, you have to use it for 120 days for you to now test yourself again. So that is what it is. And I also have this other video for us. No.
Our nature.
No, I think. Now this is. I'm sure before I came, when I was having that network problem, this video, but I want to play it again so we can see the process involved in doing the balance test, the step-by-step instruction. Because based on the various places we find ourselves, we will have peculiarities in how to take our blood samples and submit and send. And those of us who are in Nigeria, or especially in Africa, or especially in Nigeria, we have developed a system on ground to see how we can help a lot of people who want to do the test to send it straight to Norway. So sending the test is not a problem. But for those who are in countries where you can easily send the test because of a good postal system, of course, you can do that and get to know your ratio. So you see your test and you are carried along. So that is it for this. And okay, this is the last video, and we'll end and take all the questions.
The Zinzino compensation plan is one of the most competitive reward and recognition programs in the direct selling industry. Combined with our revolution.
So for those who would like to know more, this is for you. We'll talk about that one later. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Godwin. And I learned a lot from your presentation. It's very informative, and I believe